Is this thing on? Is this thing on? No, what's going on, everybody? How you doing? It is Marlon Hurd, the Vallionaire, or Coach MT. Some of y'all know me as Coach MT, but I was the Vallionaire before Coach MT. So either or, it doesn't matter. But good day. It is a rainy evening here in Atlanta, Georgia. Welcome to Atlanta. All right. Another episode. I think I've already told you all this. I really enjoy this. I really enjoy this. I know podcasting is a thing that, quite a few people are doing and getting involved in, and it's a great way to share information. It's a great way to share experiences. It's a great way to, pass on your knowledge and things of that nature, There are a lot of individuals that are looking to get to a certain place, right? And I don't know what this place is. I remember I was dating this young lady, and she got on the phone and she was just going crazy, like, I don't know where you're taking us. And I'm like, well, what is this place that you're attempting to get to? And she couldn't explain it. All she was saying is that, I don't know where you're taking us. And I was attempting to get her to explain to me what it is that she was looking for, and she couldn't explain it. And I kind of had an idea, but, there was no finger I could put on, like, what is this place you're talking about? Like, where you're taking us? And I was attempting to explain it to her, but I don't think she understood. Okay. But I know a lot of individuals are looking to get to a level of comfort where it's easy comfort. It's not stressful comfort, right? And what do I mean by that? What is stressful comfort? Stressful comfort, and from my eyes, is, okay, things are going well, but I can't relax. Right? Like, okay, the job is going well, the business is going well, but I can't relax. I'm always on edge. Even though things are comfortable, I don't have any challenges or worries financially, right? But I can't relax. Yeah, I'm still, there's still like a level of stress there. So I think easy comfort is where you can get to the point to where things are comfortable, and there are times where you can, like, relax. Maybe you could take a week off or even 2 weeks off, and things are still stable, right? The everything's, the system still flows. The operating system still flows, right? That's when you get to, like, CEO level. When you get to CEO level of your life, right? You think the CEO of a company is stressed? Hell no. He got other people he or she has other people to handle the stress, right? You want to get to that point to where you have a team of people that handle the stressful things for you. All right. So, let's talk about that. Why is it that people don't get to that level? What prevents people from getting to the CEO level of their life? Right? What's the challenging things that prevents people from getting to that CEO level of their life? So let's start let's start here. Let's start historically. Let's talk about where they might have come from financial wise. Like, this is all fun. This is a whole financial podcast, okay? We may talk about some other things, relationships, health, all that kind of stuff, but this is a financial podcast. Let's talk about historically, all right? What were they taught about money? Okay? 80, I don't know the numbers, but I'm just going to say a lot of people, 70 to 80% of people were not weren't given financial education or financial literacy when they were young and coming up. Okay, when when they were starting to understand numbers and they were first introduced to money, what is a dollar, what is a quarter, what is a dime, and they weren't giving financial literacy to help them understand how money works and how it can work for them. All right. Now, in my household, I was born in '77 and I grew up in the '80s and '90s. I grew up in a black household in the middle class. My dad had a good job. He worked, at the plant, and it was, you could work there 40 years, all that kind of stuff. But there wasn't any financial education going on. Like, let me sit you down and show you what this is. It was just, don't spend all your money. Okay? And so when I got to college, the first time I got introduced to finance was in college. I got my first credit card. They had all the pretty girls at the table, and you had to fill out a credit card application. You got a T-shirt, and then this credit card comes in the mail. Now, I thought it was part of the school. Okay? I didn't understand credit. And I had bad credit from early on because I wasn't paying the bill. I'm like, this is part of school. It's school to take care of it. But I didn't understand. It wasn't until my mid-20s, the mid-20s to mid-30s, where I started to get some financial education, financial literacy. That's because I joined network marketing, and in network marketing, we had classes on these. Okay, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm getting this as, a grown adult, right? And now I'm in my 40s, is where it's all, it's the fruits are coming to fruition. And that happens for a lot of people. Okay? Black homes, white homes, Spanish homes, Indian homes, Asian homes that didn't get that financial education early. So one thing I did with my daughters is that because I had read these books, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Think and Grow Rich, The Power of the Subconscious Mind. I'm reading these books from my mid-20s to my mid-30s, and my mindset's changing. So the first thing I did was that when my girls were young and they got to the 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade, I started teaching them financial literacy. Okay, and I taught them through this process called the jars. And I helped them understand, hey, this money's for this money's for that, here's what you use for this, here's what you use for that, this is what a good credit score is, here's how you write a check. I used to draw a check on the dry erase board and show them how to write a check. I taught them the compound interest formula. And now today, they all have their own investment accounts. They have different accounts for different things. And they understand that I can't spend all my money, but here's why. Okay? And none of my daughters struggle with money. Okay? They all have a better mindset for it because I gave it to them early. So at the time of this podcast entry, my oldest daughter's 24, my next daughter is 19, and my twins are 17. And they understand the importance of money. Even when they're asking me for things, they're like, Daddy, is that too expensive? Well, I looked up different prices of things. Well, I wanted to make sure, hey, is that okay? Then I just give it to me. And I did sometimes, okay, let's sit down, let's talk about it, see how we can get it. And they understand budgeting and making sure you can afford it. And so they're not, you know what I mean? Okay, so maybe historically, individuals weren't given financial literacy. And a lot of people never adjust out of that way of thinking. So they're adults with that same financial education that minimal or that they did or did not receive. They're just kind of winging it. So that may be the challenge. Okay? Now, let's move up. Let's say individuals finally do make the discovery. They finally do find someone or they discover a book or they discover a course or they discover a coach, and they're teaching them this information. Well, some people may reject it. They may be like, oh, that's too much. Oh, that's for them. Oh, you just trying to sell me something. Oh, that ain't going to work for me. Oh, right? They're like, they're hearing it, but they're rejecting it because their way of thinking and belief system is blocking it. Okay, and I did a whole podcast entry called The Win Formula and the Success Ladder. Go look it up. It may be before this episode, maybe afterwards, somewhere. It might be on YouTube. I don't know. Okay, my YouTube link will be in the description there if you want to see that. So they might reject it. Okay, and then, and so they never follow through. Okay, because they think somebody's trying to sell them something, or they may think that's not going to work for them, and they believe that what's being shared with them is not going to work for them because they don't know anyone around them that it has worked for. There isn't an example in their life, and they may, find that book or find that course or find that coach, and that might be the only individual that they know through the book, through the course, through the coach. And they don't really know that individual personally, and so they kind of reject it. I've seen that. Okay, like I said, I've been in the entrepreneurial business world since 2002. I was 25 years old. Okay, now, some people may get involved, but they quit too soon. Right? They may start their budget process. I'm just going to put budget in quotations. I know budget sounds boring and things of that nature, and then they may be doing the process, but 3 months in, they're like, they don't see those miraculous results. Okay, and they may be they may be on social media and start comparing themselves, and people on social media, well, if you're not, everybody on social media, if you're not making, if you're not, and they feel inadequate, right? They feel inadequate because now that they're in the process, other information is coming to them, right? They're saving now. They might be doing an investment program. They may be, cutting back and all this kind of stuff, but something jumps in the way. Right? Somebody calls them and say, hey, we going to the Bahamas. You want to go? And so then they'll wreck their whole process to go to the Bahamas. And then they'll come back like, oh, man, it's too much to get started. Start it back. Okay? Some people don't stay in it long enough for it to make sense. One of my mentors told me that, Art Williams. He said, some people don't stay in it long enough for it to make sense. Old country boy from South Georgia. For it to make sense. Okay? So, and it's about 12 to 18 months before it starts to make sense. I know this from personal experience. I'll never forget when I joined network marketing. Okay, I'm at the meeting. I sign up. I'm excited. And I never get the gentleman who was giving the presentation. He said, listen, no, this is after the presentation. I sign up. I get to my first kind of like coaching meeting. The guy was like, listen, are you willing to do this for the next 18 months without making any money? Because at that point is when it's going to start to make sense. Are you willing to do that? And I looked at him like, what? 18 months? People are going to think I'm crazy. My wife is going to think I'm crazy. My family's going to think I'm crazy. And you know what? I did it anyway. I don't know why. I don't, you know what? I have no idea why. You know why? I do know why. Because I watched my mother build her business from scratch. I watched her start in our living room, and then she bought the house next door, turned that into her salon, and then bought an actual salon. So I actually saw my mother do something like this. Okay? I just watched her do it. So I was just dumb enough to pay attention. And I said, okay, 18 months. That's not too long. And by my 18th month, I was making an extra $2,000 to $3,000 a month in that particular business. I was paying stuff off. I was saving money. I was a new father. I was able to kind of do some extra things. It was cool. Okay? So, are you willing? Would you be willing to give your new money process, your new money operating system, 18 months? Oh, wow, accident. Oh, my goodness. I hope nobody got hurt. 18 months before it starts to make sense. A year and a half, man. You know why? Here's what I learned. In the first 12 months, you're going to hit every snag. You're going to want to quit, but you're not. You're going to invest in something and not make money. You're going to try something that may not work out. You're going to share something with people, they're going to think you crazy. You may join a money earning opportunity and everybody tells you no, right? You're going to go through those ups and downs in that first 12 months. Now, the next 6 months, you're going to see those same snags again. But you've already experienced that snag and you made it through. So you just push through the snag. Right? Like, oh, people already told me no. Oh, I've already experienced that. Oh, I've learned that lesson. And so you kind of push through those snags. Then the next 18 months is where you kind of start to see the explosion happen. Right? That savings program you were in, at the end of the next 18 months, you might have $10,000 in there. I'm just using an arbitrary number, okay? That investment program you decide to get involved in it got a $2,000-$3,000 in it. Okay? That business opportunity you decide to join, right? Or that income earning opportunity you decide to join is making you an extra $1,000 to $2,000 a month. Right? The system is working. Because at that point, it becomes part of your lifestyle. So, you know, I know I kind of went off on a tangent, but these are just some of the things that, you know, it may not be everybody's experience, but because I come from most people, that middle 70 to 80% of people, this is what I've seen. And I've seen it happen to others, not just me, thousands of other people that never get that financial literacy when they were growing up, that they finally make the discovery and they reject it, right? And then they make the discovery, they get started, but they quit too soon. And I've also seen people who push through. And a lot of those people are, to this day, living the lives that they really want to live. I'm talking about in true abundance, not just money, health, relationships. These individuals are in the gym. They're taking supplements. The relationships are flourishing. Okay? So, those are some things I've seen where people don't reach those levels. Right? And then they have an excuse for everything. Any excuse would do. Right? Excuses are monuments of nothing. They shift like sand underneath the weight of truth. Any excuse to do. Okay? So, If you truly want to reach that easy comfort, not that stressful comfort, that easy comfort, okay, whatever process you decide to start, whether you decide to start with here the Budget Boys, whether you decide to start with anybody else that you ran into or any other process, give it 18 months. Whatever the process is, whatever the systems are, whatever the step-by-step is, do it for 18 months. Whatever the books they say to read, whatever calls they say to join, whatever events they tell you to show up to, just do it for 18 months. I cannot make any guarantees, but I guarantee you at the end of the 18 months, you will be a different person. You will have learned, you will have won. You would have learned, you would have won. You will have learned, you will have won. 18 months, a year and a half, 18 months. And then when you get to that 18th month, go another 18 months. And that's where the system starts to kind of take on a life of its own. What do they say? Give it 3 to 5 years. Even there's a video on YouTube right now of Ice Cube. Ice Cube is sitting there with him and what's that rapper's name? Too Short. And he was like, man, if you ain't ready to put 5 years of work into a process without making a dime, don't even start. Don't even start. I can tell you right now, I've done it. I've done it, man. And sometimes it's longer. But he said, if you're not willing to put 5 years into something without making a dime, and what he means by a dime is not making big money. Maybe the money you make, you put right back in. The money you make, you put right back in. The money you make, you put right back in. Not much of it is coming to you. That's what he means. He's not saying that no money's being made. He's saying that a lot of the money you make, a lot of it's not going to come to you. It's going to go back into your process. But if you're not ready to do 5 years, don't even start. And I'm going to just kind of lighten the load and say 3 to 5. Because that first 2 18-month stints is going to change your whole process. I can't guarantee you, but I can almost guarantee it. I've been doing this since 2002. I've lived it multiple times. So now when I start a process, I'm like 18 months. 18 months. We're going 18 months. Yes, we are. And not a month less. And then I know it's going to be another 18 months. Okay? So, I know you don't want to hear this. I know you want the fast money. I know. I know some of you out there, all of that? Yeah, all of that. You think those guys make it to the NFL, because they want you? No, they've been playing ball since they were 6. Since they were 6. And you know how many 6-year-olds want to make it to the NFL and they don't make it? Okay? So, I hope you got some value today. I hope this ruffles some feathers. I really do. Okay? But I also hope it kind of unlocks some things for you. I hope it unlocked a few things for you. That's all I wanted to do was unlock some things for you. Okay? So, Marlon the Vallionaire, Coach MT, hope you got some value. We'll see you on the next episode.